Bueno amigos, estamos acá con un ícono de la música del metal mundial. Estamos junto a Jeff Becerra de la banda Possessed. Hey Jeff, thank you for having us here. Well, we had the opportunity to chat a little bit before, and you just hit the concept that you are like the father of death metal. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I think it might be a little overboard. I do know that I was the first death metal person. I was Possessed. One of our claim to fame is that we were, for a year or more, we were the only band, a death metal band on the planet. So I guess, yeah, I'm really proud of that, and I think that's how I made a name for myself, and that's what I had to do as a younger man coming up in the SF Bay Area underground, when thrash was God, and I had my colleagues were people like Gary Holt from Slayer and Exodus, or Exodus and Slayer, and back then it was Exodus were the kings of thrash, and then there was Metallica, who actually moved down from the LA area to be closer to what was happening in the thrash scene, and so it was some stiff competitions.
And at the beginning, how was, because you share stage with Exodus at the beginning, and you were like the appetizer for that. But how did it feel when the appetizer was even stronger than the main course?
Truly?
I'm talking about brutality.
Well, I mean, it felt the way I thought as a musician was like I thought it was really cool that like Gary Holt would take a young, up and comer like me under his wing and give me an opportunity. And I think that Ruthie's, even though it was like a rat hole in the middle of Oakland Berkeley border, it was like the CBGBs of the West Coast. So it was where you make a name for yourself, and it's where everything was. It's where we decided to hang our hats and really hone our craft. And so it felt good. It felt really good, and it felt exciting. It felt revolutionary, and it felt like you had to be there, because you were part of something really great.
Did you realize you were making history in music?
Of course. I mean, that's why, I got the copyrights, and I didn't want somebody to try to although people still do, but we were very focused for as young as we were. I was 16, Larry was 15 on 7 churches, and
How old were you?
16, yeah.
On 7 churches? Oh my God.
So when I listen to it now, it seems really remedial and basic.
Yeah.
But at the time, because it was the first of its kind, it was meant to be that way. It was meant to be like almost retardedly brutal in its own way, So it wasn't meant to be rocket science. It was meant to be like in your face, So.
Well, so you knew you were making history. You knew you were cooking something new. And why the reason that your career wasn't that as continuous as we all wanted to be?
Well, what I noticed very early in the game, because if you keep your eyes open, because remember, I read music. I started with classical, and I was in jazz fusion bands, and so I can actually play as well as read and all that. But what I noticed very early on was that sometimes less is more. And what I noticed is that, these people, not Exodus, but a lot of the other bands, they were always well clean cut, and they always had their bangs trimmed. They smelled like shampoo and, trying to get laid. And they stopped just short of that line. It was always that invisible line. And I just blew past that like Hail Satan, like just 666 everywhere. And like I took that skippy happy out of the thrash, that little skip.
Yeah.
And just made it straight time balls out.
Straight to the bone.
And I pressed my drummer as fast as you can go, and you can even tell on the album like you can't keep up sometimes, And I noticed in the punk SF underground that these punk singers were like, they had this cathartic scream where they just let their guts out on stage. And I found that very intoxicating, and I wanted to take that into metal, and because thrash metal was taken, Venom, of course, the European kings had black metal, and I did look up to them, and I still do, and I wanted that too. So black metal, thrash metal, speed metal was already taken. This is before anybody said extreme metal. So death metal, and I checked everywhere. I searched the planet and the copyrights and the trademarks, and I looked and it wasn't taken. So death metal became my thing.
So even at that age, you took it very serious.
Yeah, I copywrote it. I first copywrote all the songs on Seven Churches in 1983. So
Yeah. Oh, by that time I was 11 years old.
yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote "Burning in Hell" when I was 11. In 1979. Yeah.
Really? Where did you get your influences for bass?
Well, of course, my father and my mother. My mother was in the Richmond Symphony as a solo violinist, and my dad plays he's like a Mexican Elvis, like Elvis,
Yeah.
And he plays like rockabilly, and so when we were growing up, my dad was very, he focused on. He made me take guitar lessons, and I used to trudgingly haul my guitar around to the apartments up Ampano and taking lessons and. I hated it, but it was something you did. We also went to church 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And my dad was really focused on making us a solid foundation. And so I'm glad that I did that. I'm glad that I had it. And of course, when my dad had this monster vinyl collection, he was all into oh my God, everything from Fleetwood Mac to and I would add I would come and I'd give him gifts. And in my mind, it was I would get even though my sister listened to pop, I would give her Led Zeppelin 4, and it wasn't I was kind of buying it for myself because I would listen to it, but it was also listen to this, you're turning on to it. So I was adding things like UFO and Gamma and Montrose and Mahogany Rush and. And then later, of course, my grandmother bought me AC/DC Back in Black, and I remember being man, that seems a little evil, right? Yeah. But then I that kind of sparked, and then I started trying to search out the evil.
Did you get something out of that?
Oh yeah. When UFO would say Lucifer, I go, I get a shiver, and I want more. And so that was kind of my driving focus. I want more. I was I can't find this. I'm just going to create it. You know what I mean? I can't get enough, so...
Yeah, I'm really amazed that you still have that energy. I mean, with the way I see it, it's I'm talking with Jeff from 30-something years ago. I started my first band in 1979, so only 40 years ago, whatever. But. Wow. And that was with Larry Lalonde, who was in the first, who later went to Primus, and so. Well, your last release was when in 2006?
My last release was late 2019, May of 2019. It's my first release in 33 years. It's number 17 on the pop charts. It's doing really well. We can't even print them fast enough. It's really, really successful, and it's amazing. Yeah.
And what are your plans for the future?
I'm just gonna. I have a 3-album contract with Nuclear Blast, but
that's good.
Gerardo, signed with BMG Chrysalis Publishing, and I want to make some albums and try to try to just make as much music as I can, we never know the future, and so I want to try to do as much as I can before I can. Yeah.
Well, let me tell you that I personally have always seen you as an inspiration, We already been talking about it. And where did you get that strength to overcome?
I think we all have that strength, and I think that it's important to acknowledge that I'm no different than you or anybody else. You either get busy living or you get busy dying. You either give up or you don't give up. And some people give up and some people don't.
Yeah, that's what I did. So we are together on this. And what do you think about this? You're wearing the 70,000 tons of metal chair today. How do you feel about being here?
I've been wanting to be on 70K forever, right? And and I keep trying, every few years I'll send them an email and nothing comes back, and then I guess maybe because the album or because of the more notoriety, I guess finally my number came up and I was lucky enough to get on, and well, at the very last minute I just scooched on because I got on literally 5 or 6 days before the cruise set sail, so I saw that there was 16 TBAs to be announced. And I was and then I got I got like a, hey, you need to do this from a few people.
Yeah.
So that seemed like it was like work.
Yeah, this cruise in particular it has a little issues, to make it. The announcement were late, but we finally make it and we're here.
But with issues comes opportunity too.
Yeah, well,
when they're scrambling,
and
for
that's why
bands
you're
and-
here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are from Chile and Alan is from Argentina.
Hey.
What do you think about the death metal scene down there?
I think it's great. I mean, we still play Argentina even though they pay you in the pesos, which is not worth anything. But I don't care. I love it, and I want to go down there and play. And it's really, it's amazing. I think that a lot of these South American, Central American countries are so into metal. It's just it feels fantastic.
Yeah.
It feels like a time machine in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going backwards to 1983 to 80.
The way we live, the metal.
Yeah. Like I see that same thing I was wearing when I was a kid. Like I see kids dressed like that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, it's really embedded,
It's
like the
a custom
culture.
party.
It's
They're dressing like the old school thrash death metal
that's
fan.
true.
Yeah.
Which is some of them have the flipped up ball caps and.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I remember when
and the tall
the high
sneaker,
top,
yeah.
like we used to use Reeboks and
Yeah.
the peg leg pants.
Yeah,
and-
right. Yeah, it's just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have to finish the interview. Would you like to say some words to the people who's going to be watching this interview?
Well, yes, of course. It's great to be here. Thank you for coming. I hope you come see me play with Possessed. And I'm going to try to do my best for you out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff Becerra. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure, John.